Hello beautiful people of Age of Empires Mobile, Timmy is here with an absolutely awesome episode in which I'm gonna rank all 4 unit type in Age of Empires Mobile based on their performance, meaning in other words, we have to take in consideration also the heroes, not just only all the heroes which we have available till now in Age of Empires Mobile, but I will also take in consideration the new heroes coming with a new season, because a lot of these new heroes are absolutely not worth it or just limited worth it for only the high spenders, and only a few heroes are definitely worth investing in. And here we are in the Tier Maker app, just in case you're wondering what this is. But you also can go on the tiermaker.com if you want to do this type of rankings. And you see here we have the Cavalry, we have the Swordsmen, we have the Pikemen, and we have the Archers. But first I have to mention, dear beautiful people, that this is my personal opinion for which I have tried to find the best and most solid arguments. Meaning, in other words, after you have watched this episode till the end, feel free to jump into the comments in order to share your opinion about this. So let's start with rank number 4. And from my perspective, it doesn't simply matter if you are a free-to-play player or all the way up to a very high-spending player. It doesn't change the fact that the Pikemen are for everybody on rank number 4. Now let's jump a second in the game in order to explain you why. Now me personally, I'm using the Marshal setup, and I can use it like this. If I want to buff my allies, or if I want to do some more damage, I'm going to use it like this with Caesar as commander. And a lot of you guys were going to say, wow, this is an awesome setup, which I definitely need. And my answer to you is absolutely simple. No, you don't, because this setup is the last one on my priority list on which I'm working from the gear perspective and the gem perspective. And I have been playing with this setup for a long time. And all I can tell you is it won't fulfill any wonders on the battlefield. As from my perspective, the only true advantage of the Pikemen for me right now is the simple fact that I can train units parallel to the other 3 unit types. But we have different setups for the Pikemen, and let's go a second in the tutorial because we also have the counter-attack setup, and I will gonna get to this in a second, but there is also another setup. And let's now include the new heroes coming with the new season. And this would be the Tactician Pikemen. And a setup would look something like this: Belisarius, Ashoka, and Elizabeth I. Now, when it comes down to unlocking Elizabeth I, you have to reach top 10 in the Mightiest Empire event, which is not necessarily easy for a lot of players. Ashoka will also represent a problem to get them, even though the developers will gonna offer us a way. And of course, Belisarius. And from my perspective, I would say only Belisarius is actually worth it, but on Cavalry and only for the very, very high spenders. And now, beautiful people, this is the setup which everybody was super hyped about, or in other words, Mr. Cyrus the Great. And I don't know how many of you guys are actually watching Sigam's videos on the regular basis, because while Cyrus was super powerful at the beginning, now it got nerfed, but this counterattack setup has another major issue, because from my perspective, this needs to be polished. Because in order for you to counterattack a player, it means that player has to hit you back or you have to tag him. So if you have at least 2 marches on the battlefield, this one being one of them, first you're gonna set the other setup to attack something, and then you're gonna go to this setup and try to tag as many players as possible in order to hit you, so you are able to hit them back, aka this counterattack. Because normally on the battlefield, everybody is gonna target Lubus, everybody is gonna target Ramses, everybody is gonna target Archers. And from my perspective, even with the nerf which was applied on Cyrus, in order for this counterattack type of setup to work, the developers must add a force taunt. In other words, you're forcing the other players to target you so you can get counterattacks back. And also it's an advantage because they have to pay attention and switch back to the original target, which was probably Lubus, Ramses, giving the counterattack Pikemen a solid role in PvP, because when it comes down to PvE, the Archers and the Cavalry will always gonna perform better. And that leads us to my conclusion. Yes, indeed, I will definitely gonna unlock Cyrus, but I will probably not change my pikeman setup. And that's the reason why the pikemans are rank 4, no matter if you are a free-to-play player, all the way up to the high spenders. Now, on rank number 3 of your priority is definitely gonna be the Swordsman. But let's go a bit more deeper into this. Now, when it comes down to Swordsman, this is exactly what I'm using right now. Miyamoto Tribuana and Yodit. And of course, here also you have plenty of alternatives. We're gonna talk about Ramses, Charlemagne, and Theodora in just a moment. Because first, I do indeed wanna mention Lagieta. And I'm super excited to test her if by implementing her in my setup will actually improve the warrior swordsman performance. But what exactly does this mean? It will mean for me that I would either have to drop Miyamoto or Tribuana, and no matter which from these two heroes I will drop, it will gonna be the death sentence for them, because you guessed it, a very strong alternative for the swordsman is indeed the setup with Ramses, Charlemagne, and Theodora. Absolutely super awesome setup. And based on the calculation done by the professor, this setup should perform approximately 40% better than my Miyamoto, Tribuana, and Yodit. But in my case, it's actually far less, because I have to take you again to my facilities, and at one point you will also gonna have to take this decision. So this is exactly where I am, and I would love to finish the defense. I would also love to get the last 1% of HP. I would also love to get the last 3 points for all hero attributes, and after that, sure, I would love to start with the armor, as it benefits all my heroes instead of starting with the strategy. And this becomes even more clear to be noticed once you have a look at the new researches, because from my perspective, I'm kind of done right now with this, and you probably also saw this in a previous episode. And what I would love to do right now is, of course, go back here and get a higher normal attack. I also would love to do this one, which will reduce the damage taken from the normal attacks by another 8%, which will benefit all my marches. And after that, I would love to come back and start focusing on the armor, which again benefits all my heroes, instead of just one march based on strategy to start with. Hero strategy 1, 2, 3, and 4, because yes, there are 4 of them. And not just that, I also have to do the tactician hero all attributes, because this also should answer the question, why am I not doing a 5th march for the swordsman? Because I'm only playing with 4 marches, because yes, indeed, I'm using a 5th march, but I have a better solution right now, and an even better one for the future. You're gonna see that in just a moment, but now let's jump to the rank number 2. And again, for me, there is no question that actually the archers are on rank number 2. Absolutely super solid, but I will not gonna put them on rank number 1. And this is what I'm using right now on the archers. And yes, I know we have to talk about Timur. It's similar to Mehmet. So if you have Mehmet, you definitely want to use it on the archers. The swordsmen are already very tanky, because Timur will actually going to be very needed on the cavalry. Of course, there are a ton of setups which you can build for your archers. You can also use this setup, but for me personally, that's not an option, for the reason which I have mentioned previously, in order to manage my resources even better. But you can have a look in here and see there are a ton of possible setups for your archers. And yeah, rank number 1 is absolutely no doubt that's the cavalry. For many reasons, not just only the absolutely crazy performance which the cavalry brings you, also on the open field. If you have this setting right here, same marches speed for all your troops, if you have this untoggled, so off like this, your cavalries will gonna march far faster than the other unit types, giving you indeed an alternative to kite opponents around or catch them even faster. And of course, when we have a look at the recommendations setups with the heroes which we have right now, there are a ton of different setups which you can use. Quick side note here, when it comes down to the tactician cavalry, that's what I would like to try. Belisarius together with Hannibal and together with Ashoka as my 5th march. because the main role of this match would be to reach these war machines very fast if they are targeting me. And when it comes down to what am I using right now, this is definitely this setup which you see right now. But yes, Rani is gonna go away with the implementation of Timur. And that's exactly how my main match will gonna look like with Lubu, Timur and Attila, because I played a lot with my Cavalry and it's my main match. That's literally what I'm missing. A hero like Mehmet to give me more survivability, because keeping a constant high amount of troops in battle means also keeping a constant high damage output. And yes, dear beautiful people, this is the only hero from my perspective which for 100% all players out there is worth it from the new season. Now, of course, you can expect me to do a couple of videos with some battle reports, but do not expect me to actually use the same rings. The Radiant Guardian is for me on my Mulan, and guess what? You cannot use the same ring on 2 or more different heroes. So, beautiful people, this is the tier list for the troops in Age of Empires Mobile. And now let's rank the heroes coming from the new season based on my opinion on how they potentially are improving your account in a noticeable way. So beautiful people, these are the 5 new heroes coming with the new season, and allow me now to rank them for you and tell you why. Now, while everybody was extremely hyped about Cyrus, I was actually hyped by Timur all along, and from my perspective this is definitely 100% S tier, as if you guys have played a setup like this with Mulan, Rani and Bellevue in the past, as soon as Mehmet came and you made this change to remove Rani and put Mehmet in here, well, you don't need any numbers to see the difference or the improvement. You actually were able to see it right away on the battlefield. So from my perspective, that's exactly what is missing from my Lubu match. It's Mr. Timur and should be the maximum priority for every single player in Age of Empires Mobile. Now let's take the second hero, which is Largetta, and definitely she is S tier, but I won't go that far in saying she is more important than Timur. It's rather like this. Always focus first on Timur and then on Largetta, and I will definitely gonna do a couple of videos to see with the help of the numbers how will that improve the Warrior Swordsman setup. Now let's take Mr. Belisarius, and from my perspective this hero is exclusively only for the whale. Sure, we can put him in A, I definitely won't put him in S, that's for sure. Therefore I consider that's the right spot for him. In A tier and exclusively only for super whales, as that's exactly how I will implement Belisarius in my setup as a 5th match, just to be able to march very fast and kill catapults if the opponent tries to kick me off the map. Sure, Belisarius can also be used together with Elizabeth, but again I consider this hero also to be for high spenders all the way up for the super whales, and I also won't go that far in putting her in front of Belisarius, even though I don't have any numbers right now, but for my expectations this is exactly how the warder should look like. Now we come to our beloved Mr. Cyrus, and honestly speaking I am super tempted after this nerf to put him somewhere in C, or actually even add a D tier in here. But even without the nerf, honestly, dear beautiful people, he is in A tier for sure. And I wouldn't put him in front of Belisarius either, even though Belisarius is considered to be a hero for very high spenders, simply for the reason if you have made this mistake and started with the Pikemens, depending how close you are to get a full march, you can always stop and go back and focus on your Lubu march, focus on your Archer march, or just get a Ramses, Charlemagne and Theodora march. You don't wanna play Pikemens even without the nerf. It's absolutely super annoying to do that on the battlefield. So beautiful people, now you have seen my tiers for the troops in Age of Empires Mobile. Now you also have seen in this episode the tier list for the new heroes coming in the new season and my expectation. And I hope a lot of you guys have reached this end of this episode because now is the time for me to invite you to share your thoughts with us in the comments, because we still have round about 1 week till these new heroes are coming, and it's absolutely super important for us to start already to debate about our expectations in order for us to be super effective, because not every single hero coming from a new season is actually worth it to bring to a higher star level. It's always worth it to unlock them, especially the ones in the wheel, but it's also super important to understand what exactly do you need before you have the option to unlock these heroes in order to avoid mistakes, which means spending your resources in a wrong way and slowing your progression. And beautiful people, indeed, if you want to support me, you don't need any money for that. All you have to do is just subscribe to this channel. Obviously, I think it's super worth it to watch my episode always till the end. Share this channel with your friends if they are playing Age of Empires Mobile. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm gonna catch you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao, ciao.